peace and love, eternal love, and KOS. Now, I want to bring an important educational purpose today with the intentions to understand law. And to understand law, we need to understand how law is built from under the foundation towards. So we have to understand when we see things and when we hear things, that all things that we hear and see doesn't follow the rules to the systems of law. There are forms that are, like subsystems, sub-components that falls into forms. And through those forms, you can find yourself individually in one of these forms of law. And this is what has been hidden to the public as occult law. And so we're going to debunk and expose occult law by exposing the systems of law. Occult being just a form of a particular generalized law. We're going into the wholeness of all laws, that all laws follow a system, no matter what form you in. So we're going to begin with the systems of law, sourcing the canon. Article 238, the systems of law. Canon 2858. A system of law is a comprehensive, integrated body of laws, legal institutions, law officials, customs, precedents, and history, encompassing the necessary functioning framework was important of rule of law for a particular society, particular civilization, or particular group of societies. And that's where you have your secret societies. All secret societies operate from a function of law. You just don't know what law, but you'll have an inkling throughout this educational purpose. So Canon 2859, system of law is equivalent. Now, having a system of law is equivalent to the concept of civilization. Civilizing, teaching man wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. The concept of civilization in civilized society is called system of law. In that civilization is founded in large part on the existence of a comprehensive system of law. Keep in mind, comprehensive, not occult, hidden from the public eyes, but viewable and accessible and open to the public, and therefore comprehensive to the public. Canon 2860, a form of law, this is what we were speaking on earlier. A form of law is not the same as a system of law. A form of law such as admiralty law, agreement law, contract law, trust law, local government law, state law, or federal law. Guess what? All these are scribbles of a larger system of law. Larger system. So forms are subscribers to a larger system of law. So keep that in your educational mind. Canon 2861. A valid system of law is any law system that meets 7 essential criteria. First, being member rights. Second, rules and guidelines. 3, legitimate source of power. 4, rules of judicial administration. 5 is institutional bodies. 6, legitimate consent. 7, enforcement. And let's break these down a little further in depth. The first criteria being member rights, being clear recognition of members of the society possessing some form of rights and the recognition and the protection of those rights. Member rights. That's the first essential to the system of law, a valid system of law. Second criteria, a set of rules and guidelines defining the acceptable norms of the behavior of the society, encompassing property, encompassing ownership, encompassing agreements, encompassing obligations, encompassing arguments, disputes, encompassing relationships. All this should be a valid set of rules and guidelines of a valid system of law. 3, a legitimate source of power and authority, defining by what claims or by what rights the laws have been first formed. It's also the third criteria of a valid system of law. 4th, a set of rules of judicial administration, defining the administration of the society and the law. 5, institutional bodies of members of the society constituting some kind of executive branch, legislative, and judiciary. Those are the institutional bodies. Sounds familiar. 7, legitimate consent of the members of the society to agree and follow the laws. 7, enforcement of rule of law and examples of judicial review in the sentencing ruling/order. All these criteria are present in a valid system of law. So understanding now more in depth what systems of laws are now, you have a greater insight into a better educated mind into your decision. Because ultimately you have already made a choice, or you have already by force been placed in a system, in a form, unknowns. And if you don't know, you already know three branches of power: executive branch, the legislative, and judiciary. So you already know that's a system of law. So now we're going to move forward. Let's see what we got next. Canon 2862. The most common claim of legitimate source of power. Now, the most common claim of legitimate source of power for a system of law. A system of law is by divine right. Upon claiming by some sacred scripture, some sacred revelation, some sacred custom, some sacred guidance, one or more divine entities bestow legitimacy to a body of law as superior to all others, consistent with some theology and cultural heritage. Keep that in mind. Divine right is how these systems come into the existence. So any system, think about the 1776 Declaration of Independence all the way up to the Constitution. These are saying by divine right. It's how you institute a system of law. Now these are occult secrets hidden by occult secret societies. Occult meaning not available to the public. So these laws that I'm presenting are not available to the public. They are kept hidden from the public by these occult secret societies. Canon 2863. Any system of law that is inconsistent with these canons, and any system of law based on fraudulent claims of source by divine right, is automatically without legitimate source of law, and therefore null and void from the beginning. So legitimate source of law is the key to all and any system of law. You need a legitimate source. See, a Declaration of Independence is not a legitimate source. That's not by divine intent from the divine instructions from the divine creator. The United States Constitution is not a divine legislation. It labels 3/5. So these systems are now showing themselves to be not of the divine, but of the fraudulent claims of divine right. Who gave anyone divine right but the divine owner? All right, keep that in your educated mind. Canon 2864. Any valid system of law is said to be operational for a community when it is either recognized and practiced as custom or as the rule of law by occupation of the land and occupation of the sea. Just like that, enacted. When we have the understanding to the guidelines and the criteria. This is what has been hidden as occult law. Getting more understanding of systems of law. Canon 2865. For a valid system of law to be operational as a rule of law by occupation of the land and the sea, occupation must have been accomplished by dominance over a previous system of law, by conquest, or by treaty, or by abandonment of that system of law. Occult law exposed. You conquest or colonize any land by taking over its previous system of law through treaties or conquest or abandonment, meaning mental abandonment. You become unconscious to the system of law, and therefore you have no choice. You have to surrender to what you are made available. By divine right, you have divine rights of use. So you have the use and the right to use your mind, spirit, and body any way such. And if you want to educate yourself, you have such rights, supported by divine right. And we must understand your divine rights is in your system of law. Whatever system of law you go under or subscribe to, this is supposed to contain all. So including divine rights and not just human rights and not just animal rights. Divine rights cover all living forms. So as we continue, they do this by conquest in the form of one or more decisive battles, whereby the opposing forces surrendered or agreed to some truce or peace as the weaker side. Number 2, by treaty, in the form of an agreement, contractual, whereby one side is a superior to the other. United States or the Morocco and the United States Treaty. The United States is subordinate to Morocco. We're talking about understanding occult secret societies and occult law. That what you think is a Christian land called America is a Sufyan law land. Is a Sufi law land, as you will see, but not go further in, but you'll get a understanding because it's just for a general approach. So we have to understand this is why we hear in history people making treaties. Then we hear people like Alexander the Conqueror on his conquest. Now we understand what the conquest is, imputing a system of law for their own divine right or rule, which is forbidden by divine right. Number 3, by abandonment or vacancy, whereby the previous law was lost, abandoned, destroyed, or non-compliant, to be known as a valid system of law. And this is what happened in the land of America with the Declaration of Independence. The consciousness became unconsciousness to the previous system of law. And so all became subordinate to these conquests or these treaties or even the abandonment. Just by vacating the thought of your forefathers and foremothers, you abandon the terror or the land. And so now you must travel on seas, high seas. So you only have to understand, as above, so below, as the land, so the water. Now, Canon 2866, a system of law need not be written in a form of scripted or cursive language to qualify as a system of law, so long as law meets the criteria of a valid system of law, and the civilization demonstrates an ability to maintain, adjudicate, transmit the rule of law, and record important matters of law, whether graphically, through monuments, graphically through forms of cultural expression, or graphically through other forms of record. Keep this in your educated mind. Of record. System of law. Of record. So you got forms that are scripted, forms that are cursive, and forms that are recorded. All these are qualified ways to adjudicate what law meets the criteria, the 7 we know, of a valid system of law. So now we get more insight. It's a good game. Canon 2867. All valid systems of law may be divided into essentially 2 types. All valid systems of law may be essentially divided into essentially 2 types, being equality-based law and inequality-based law. First, equality-based systems of law assume that all are equally subject to the law, even if the laws favor a few above the many. That's called the equality-based systems of law. Second is inequality-based systems of law. Assume that not all are equally subject to the law. Not all are equal and subject to the law, and some may operate outside of the law or be excluded from the law. So keep that in mind right there. Keep that education in your back pocket right there. Canon 2868. Equality-based systems of law have far outlasted inequality. Did you catch? Equality-based systems of law have far outlasted inequality-based systems of law throughout the history of civilization, due largely to the inherent weakness of any system of law that permits some or many. This is what weakens a system, what permits some or many to claim immunity from the law. Canon 2869. Inequality-based systems of law are by definition unjust. unrighteousness, and therefore unconsciousness, and therefore an abomination to the rule of law and the purpose of law. Our last canon. 2870. The most successful inequality-based system of law, based also on fraudulent claims of divine right, is no other than the Roman Cult. The Roman Cult Law, also known as civil law. The Roman Cult Law, also known as feudal law. The Roman Cult Law, also known as common law, whereby through a complex system of patronage, a complex system of obedience, a complex system of mutual interest, a global unequal and a global unjust system of law dominated planet Earth for almost 1,000 years until 2011. And there you go, some educational power. Before we leave, I want to show you the systems that they have already. And so you be aware of systems of law. So we're not going to go in depth into each system of law, but all these that you will hear are systems of law. Us just defining what a system of law is and understanding the criteria and how the things are done by conquest, treaty, and abandonment, and how these things are set forth in a valid system of law based upon equality or based upon inequality. And knowing now the Roman Code law, known as civil law, known as common law, feudal law, all these are fraudulent claims of divine right. So if these systems are available to you and you are subscribed under these systems, then one is subscribed to fraudulent claims. And so here are the other systems of law. Some heard, some unheard, some known, some unknown. Let's go. The first system of law is called the ATL law, the Occult Law. The second system of law is called the RE law. The third system of law is called the MUI law. Fourth system of law is called the Quayle law. The next system of law is the Mandean law. Next, Sumerian law. Next, Babylonian law. Next, Hyksos law. Next, Vedic law. Next, Persian law. All these are systems. Next, Torah law. Next, Hellenic law. Next, Roman law. Then, Holy Roman law. Talmudic law. Sufi law. Khazarian law. Anglo-Saxon law. Civil law. Feudal law. Common law. International law. Euclidean law. So somewhere on this list of laws, of system of laws, you are subscribed to one of these systems of law. And now that you have the full understanding of what systems of law is for your study and your educational purposes, become the knower. Peace and love and eternal love and KOS.